Next up, I would like to invite Mr. Jesher Loi, Director, Branding and Market Development, Ya Kun, to present Brand Transformation and the Journey to Internationalization. Jesher will share more with us on Ya Kun's transformation journey from a small mom-and-pop stall to a successful international franchise of 150 outlets in a very short time. Jesher, please.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really good to be here. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching this, whether it's live or post, I hope you're doing well. And I'm really thankful to the organizers for having me here. We're just gonna have a very simple and maybe very brief dialogue, but the whole idea is to share and to probably in this way, obviously it's a one-way discussion, but I left my email there. If any of you have any follow-up thoughts or you want to network, do feel free to drop me an email. Obviously, we know the end of the year is always busy, so I may not reply immediately, but I always love to dialogue with fellow business folks in the business community. So I look forward to that. All right. So the topic today is brand transformation and the journey of internationalization. I will spend just a little bit of time talking a little bit about Ya Kun's journey. Ya Kun as a brand itself, for anyone who is unfamiliar, and then towards the second half, we will definitely talk a little bit more about the topics for today. All right, come, let's jump straight into the topic here. Okay, so Ya Kun Karatos, right? The brand, as its name, that it's Ya Kun is a real individual, it's a real person. He came to Singapore from Hainan Island when he was 15, and this was in 1926. Came alone, traveled down to look for work. No, not particularly in the food business. Actually, he just came to look for work, for opportunities, and over a period of time, landed himself in the F&B business and learned the trade. Actually, learned how to make coffee, and then my grandmother, his wife, learned how to make kaya. So that's really the journey and the story behind that, of how it all started. Yeah, he actually started with two assistants, and then over time actually took over the business himself. Telok Ayer Basin is right by the riverside, right? That was where his first site was, and then obviously over the time they reclaimed the land, and right now it's I think Citibank. So they reclaimed it, they moved further into La Pasad, and then today our flagship store is actually at Far East Square. All right, Far East Square, 18 China Street. That's the unit number. And then actually some of my relatives are still working there. So it's very hands-on. It's a very family-oriented business. The menu hasn't changed, right? It's still kaya toast, soft-boiled eggs, and coffee. For those who are unsure what's so special about this coffee, it's Robusta beans, so a lot thicker, a lot stronger. Unlike Arabica beans where you need a bigger cup. This is very concentrated, and 1 cup should be enough to get you at least through half the day. So yeah, that is a bit of a brief history of our journey. Yeah, a couple of old pictures, treasured memories. So there is Ya Kun himself on the right, and serving the signature karatos, which hasn't changed all this time. Our mission encompasses 5 Ps, right? Preserve its unique and rich heritage, and that was established since 1944. Perpetuate its belief that a good toast can bind kinship, friendship, and partnership. Now, why kinship, friendship, partnership? Why these 3 items? Kinship is because we noticed that there are a lot of families coming together on the weekends, dining together. It's a location for them to come. So we saw that as kinship. Friendship is because friends coming to have a cup of coffee, meeting up on the weekends after work, chatting, or even for breakfast. And then partnership is where deals are struck over a cup of coffee. So we realized that the Ya Kun is a very integral part of the community. So that's why we coined it kinship, friendship, and partnership. Persevere in achieving its objectives of affordability and availability. Now, availability is very much important and a keystone for us. We are found largely in shopping malls, high foot traffic areas, even universities, and the airports. But affordability is one that's always been a challenge. So with rising costs and of late even rising logistical costs, supply chain demand, affordability is a challenge. We are working closely. We have a team to look at that, and I think even my audience, you can resonate with that too. So that's something that we can talk about as well. It positioned itself at the forefront of innovation for product development. Very interesting, right? When we wrote this our mission statement, this is early 2000s. So innovation was all about food development, product development, food, the way we keep the customers coming back, keep the customers interested in our food. But obviously now innovation has taken on a totally different word, right? Innovation could be AI, big data, digitalization of some kind. So obviously the word has changed, but the mission has not changed. We are still looking at ways to improve both the food offering, right, which was original intent, and the way we serve our customers, the way we engage our customers, the way we move forward as well. And the last one is excellence in customer service. We are still very much a service industry. We are frontline, so customer service is paramount. All right, our values is that we are focused on establishing firm and friendly relationships with our customers, not just customers as well, but we take a step back as well, stakeholders, so landlords, the government agencies, as we go into other countries as well, the locals, the relevant agencies as well. So it's a very cross section of the our business is a very cross section of society. So we cut across many stakeholders, but that's where the job is enjoyable and very engaging, because we get to work with many different folks. Our brand portfolio, Ya Kun is the sole brand managed by the company. So for us, we really concentrate on Ya Kun, the brand, deepening the brand, deepening our presence in the region, deepening our number of outlets and our brand offering as well. Right. Just quickly touch about Ya Kun in Singapore for those who are unfamiliar. We have 70 outlets in Singapore. Obviously, over the last few years, we have opened some, we have closed some as well. We had to close about 2 or 3, and some of them are in the airport. As you well know, travel has decreased dramatically. So we actually just went on a hiatus, so we didn't actually shut it down. But sometimes we just won't count it. But we actually opened 2 in the past year. The latest being East Point Mall, which is, as I speak today, this very morning. So that's something very exciting, and we've already seen some good response there. Okay, so obviously some of these pictures are taken a while back, but I do kind of want to remind us and recall of what it was and what we could get to eventually. So one is the coffee store concept. So for those who are familiar, it's usually situated in the mall, high traffic areas, business district. So it's what you see. It's the most common Ya Kun with seats, with a counter, and it's usually very busy. Another picture of a coffee store concept. Another one here. The other one will be a kiosk. So a kiosk is no seating, all right, or shared seating. It's a very compact area, so everything has to be highly efficient. The staff has to be very well trained. Have to be able to reach out and touch whatever they need to, the equipment wise. And it's a very high productive outlet. Obviously, it's very small. But it doesn't provide seating, and sometimes a lot of our customers want that. They want time to sit down and rest. But it's a different concept. This is the one at Takashimaya, and the next one is at the airport. So this was taken a while back, but as you can see, it's very small, very high intense. If you look behind the shop, actually it's glass. So between the boiler, which is constantly boiling water, and the glass, which kind of creates a bit of a greenhouse effect. Actually, the outlet is very hot. But it's very small, so it's very high productive. And there is a kind of a concern that people want to eat. Maybe it's their last gatos before they fly, or they are unsure about what food they're gonna get on the plane. So that outlet used to be very, very busy as well. And the last one is the family cafe concept. So family cafe concepts are a bit larger. You can see the seating, the tables is a bit more relaxed. It's meant for families, for dinners. And we certainly offer larger meals, main meals, rice, noodles, expecting customers to sit and spend more time there. So that is the family cafe concept. Right, I'm gonna just skip along. This is another outlet, another good example. Okay, yeah, Ya Kun in the region. We are in major territories, largely in Southeast Asia. So Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia, Myanmar, Malaysia, China, Japan, and kind of selling our products in South Korea as well. All right, so I just want to give you a quick snapshot of several pictures of other countries, because I want to illustrate a point. So this is Indonesia, this is Myanmar, All right. So to any of our audiences from your countries, I hope you recognize the place. This is the Yangon, is our very first outlet there. Huge opportunity and huge experience opening the shop. Philippines, right? This is in China, Hainan. Yeah, very big ceremony for opening because Ya Kun himself was from Hainan, right? So when we went back, we felt like it was like, in a way coming a full circle, going back to Hainan again. Yeah, I love this picture because you don't actually when do you actually see a lion dance at the counter? So I thought this was something that stood out to me. Yeah, so on that, the whole point is that based on the pictures, you can see that every Ya Kun looks largely the same. So there will be contextualizing, and there will be some menu touch up. But every outlet around the world, whether you are in Japan to China, as I say, Ya Kun should look and feel the same and offer by and large the same products as well. Okay, very quickly, I just want to touch a bit about the Beard Papa because that's also part of our a master franchise, and that may actually tie into any questions that you may have later, because not only are we the franchisor, not only are we the brand owner, but we also experience the concept of franchising Beard Papa as well. So Beard Papa opened its first store in April 2015. We love the brand, we love the product, and we felt that like the two brands had a lot of synergy and common values as well. So just skipping along here, you can see the first collaboration, which is using Ya Kun Kaya as the cream puff flavor. Yeah, it's a very vibrant brand, and it caters to a lot to the younger consumer, if I may say. Okay, I just wanted to wrap up this portion here to show you. This is taken at our D&D, and that is our lovely staff who are, if I'm not wrong, 65 and above. And as you can see, we do hire and work with a lot of seniors, wonderful, lovely folks who bring a lot of dedication and tenacity to the business. But of course, I always get asked questions about like digitalization and how do we help them to adapt, and maybe we can come to that as well later. So this is our staff, and so with that, I do wrap up the presentation for the brand. Once again, I do share that if you want to write to me to ask any questions, my email is just jesher@yakun.com. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the brand transformation and the journey of internationalization. And I thought what I could do is take it in the form of a FAQ. So there are some common questions that I get frequently asked, and so I thought I'd preempt and ask that first, right? So one question about bringing the brand outside of Singapore would be that do we have to adopt? What sort of adoption strategy or adaptation strategy do we take? So firstly, there is no copy and paste for overseas markets. The first thing you have to do is to be very firm about your local market. So you need to know your brand, what it stands for, because that is the whole reason why you are leaving Singapore, right? You're getting out of Singapore, trying a new market. But when we look at other countries, say Indonesia, say the Philippines, say even Myanmar, their taste profile is very similar to ours. So there does not require a lot of adaptation, because they love your nasi lemak as well, your laksa, not to mention kaya toast, and they are very familiar with our coffee. So when we went into Indonesia, the Philippines, there's very little adaptation. In fact, the copy and paste styles works. Obviously, we give them a little bit of bandwidth to offer some local cuisines, because I mean, people working nearby the offices, they can't eat kaya toast every day, right? So whatever local delights, whatever local dishes, that will work just great. So as a rule, the vast majority should still be your core product, and then you bring in a little bit of local contextualization. But when we started to go further, so China, Japan, even Korea, we realized that the further you leave Singapore, right, the further the taste profile will shift. So our strategy changed. One of the strategies for China was that we gave them quite a lot of liberty to explore Singapore food items. So if you go to a China outlet, you will see chicken rice, right? We are not known for chicken rice in Singapore, but the Chinese will view a Singapore brand as, hey, if you're a Singapore brand, give me something that's from Singapore as well. So we will see things like chicken rice, things that will tease them about Singapore's palate as well. And because the outlets in China are very big, their malls are huge, their offering, the outlets are very big. We can't just survive on kaya toast and coffee alone. So we expand the menu there. So each country for each, each work plan, the work model. Japan will be slightly different. We wanted to keep the flavor of Singapore as close as we can, because a lot of Japanese visit Singapore, they've worked in Singapore, and they're very, very well read and very well researched about Singapore too. So actually, if you go into the Japan outlets, you will see that it looks and feels very much like Singapore. In fact, I had a friend who sent me a picture, and it was just a kind of a corner of the Japan outlet, and it was very, very hard to tell whether he was in Singapore or was in Japan. So the taste of the coffee tastes very similar, and we do serve just a few other products as well, but very much similar to Singapore. So that's the adaptation that we have. Another question I always get asked is, where do you start, right? Like it can be, you are at a point where your business in Singapore is stable. You've gone to a certain size, but now you want to consider going out of Singapore. And I would say, obviously, government bodies are always the best. They are there for the very purpose. They are there for the very purpose of helping you to connect. Know the ground. You have to know the ground. You have to know. Take time to study and to understand the ground, because our assumptions are very different. For example, if a tourist were to come to Singapore, of course they will eat at Ya Kun. It's one of the go-to places. You have to eat there. And you put that to yourself. If I go to another country, I have to eat that famous, whatever it is in that country. But when we go there, we notice a difference, because there is not as much excitement about Ya Kun going into their country. Maybe because Singaporeans, we love food and we love anything that's new and come to our shores. But other countries, they are a bit more patient, maybe. So when we go there, we notice that there is not a lot of hype, but that's fine, because we plan to stay there for a while. We plan to be in that market. We enjoy the growth. So understand the taste profile. Understand that not everyone is going to be food hunters, but they are there as passerbys, as people working in the vicinity. They will try your food. So understand the market. Get a good outlet that can tell your story, that can grow, and from there you can expand from one good outlet, from one understanding of the market. Okay. Another one I want to talk about is just brand transformation. Just really quickly about brand transformation. Obviously, Ya Kun, he started with one shop. It was a very small, it was a very compact shop. And then as we grew, we added on. We grew very organically. So we added on new menus, we added on new technologies, payment methods. Even now we have an app that will allow you to have points and payment modes. But the brand constantly grew, and I'm in charge of the brand as I watch to ensure that the people that we collaborate with, the countries that we are in, the media that we engage with, is consistent. So the brand has to be consistent. The brand has to tell a narrative that's consistent, and then the look and feel. So the food products, the experience within the shop, the experience on social media, the experience of the app, all has to tell the same story, so that you understand what the Ya Kun narrative is and how it appeals to you or appeals to our customers, both local and overseas. So that is, it takes time, it takes layering, it takes sometimes tearing it apart, but understanding your brand, understanding what your story is, as you then grow both locally, wherever you are, and overseas as well. So I think with that, it comes to the end of my presentation. Once again, my email is jesher@yakun.com. Feel free to write to me if you have any other questions. But if not, then I hope you had an enjoyable time, and have a great rest of the day. All right, thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jesher, for the very interesting presentation.